everyone. I'm Dana Perino along with Emily Campagno, Harold Ford Jr., Jesse Waters, and Tyrus. It's 5 o'clock in New York City, and this is The Five. So the ceasefire, it's teetering on the edge as Iran and Israel exchanged a fresh wave of rocket attacks last night. President Trump stepping in to stop further escalation, demanding both sides immediately stop shooting. And for now, both sides are holding their fire. The president also answering some tough questions on why he chose to take military action in Iran. Watch it.
One of your consistent campaign promises was no new wars, going all the way back to 2015. Did you break that promise to the American people?
No. I had to stop a country, very powerful, very dangerous country, from having a nuclear weapon because they'd use it. They'd blow up the world. They'd blow up the Middle East. They'd blow up Israel. They'd come here. They'd blow up Europe. They're nuts. And I'm doing the world a service, but I'm doing our country a service. You know, it's America first. I'm doing our country a service. Nice rain.
It is raining hard.
I didn't promise anything. I don't like these endless wars. This is not an endless war.
And Vice President J.D. Vance telling Jesse that Iran may be ready to come to the table.
I don't assume that anybody's acting in good faith. Obviously, we've been very involved in these negotiations, Jesse. We're going to take the attitude of accomplish the president's mission, but verify over the long term that the Iranians are keeping their end of the bargain. It's a tall order, but it's one that the president has put us in a good position to achieve because let's be honest, Jesse, the Iranians don't want this war to continue. It's not in their best interest. And I think they're coming to the table, putting some real things on the table. We're, of course, going to verify it. But if we get to this deal, it's going to be a home run win for the American people.
All right. Jesse, any more to add? That interview airs tonight on your show.
Yes, well, the relationship with Israel is getting a little spicy. The president told Netanyahu, what the F are you doing? You're effing crazy. You'd be in jail if it wasn't for me, and that's why everybody in the United States hates you right now. The polls have shown that support for Israel has dropped about 20%. That's mostly with Democrats and young Americans. I can see what Netanyahu's doing. He's trying to lock in these gains in Lebanon right before a peace deal. He doesn't see that proxy war as part of epic fury. The Iranians do. So they were exchanging ballistic missiles. Netanyahu's population wants him to go hard. The U.S. population wants the dust and wants a deal. Militarily, Israel's been just an absolutely amazing ally. Strategically, we don't always see eye to eye. They're not party to the peace talks. So we keep catching them spying on us. They've been eavesdropping on Witkoff. They've been putting listening devices into phones from defense officials in Israel. I get it. They want to find out what's going on. They want an edge. They're looking for their own national interest. I think the only country that spies aggressively is Israel on us, South Korea. But we spy on them, and we do a better job anyway. The mullahs, the gay Ayatollah, it's wicked because they're in caves. Part two. Yeah. A guy on camelback brings him a handwritten letter. It's just like, oh, my God. You get a sense that Trump might need to give him another love tap just to kind of shake things loose.
And Harold, the Pakistan, of course, because Witkoff is talking to the Pakistanis to try to help with the peace deal. So, I mean, that kind of collection can happen. And this is happening while FISA is basically null and void at the moment.
First of all, I'm happy that you're back.
Thank you.
And you
I'm
remain,
glad to be back around the table.
Remain in our prayers.
Thank you.
I listened to the vice president. I look forward to seeing the interview tonight. I may watch it after your show tonight with the vice president. At him
before the game?
The basketball game is on tonight. No one ever gets into war, Mr. Vice President, hoping they get into an endless war. People get into wars believing it will be quick and decisive or decisive, and it might be some sort of timeline that does not exhaust the people that are supporting them. I think the vice president knows that. I think our tolerance and appetite for war as a country is lower than it has been over the many years because of the exhaustion over the last 20 years, 25 years, 26 years being at war in many ways. I think the president is onto something when he says that I want to figure out a way to end this, but we could not allow this group of people to get a nuclear weapon. Imagine if they had a weapon. I've heard Tyrus, I think, say this on Gutfeld before, that if we could have gone back in time and figured out a way to prevent the North Koreans from getting a nuclear weapon, would we have done it? I think the smart answer would be yes. And if you can stop them from developing a nuclear weapon, the Iranians, you eliminate a threat for our kids and grandkids, and for that matter, all of us today. I think the president's challenge right now is that he talks too much. I think when you constantly tell people you're in negotiation, that they are 1 day away, 2 days away, 3 days away, that they're desperate for a deal, I think the president has to understand that he has incredible credibility with not only his supporters, but with the American people, as most presidents often do. And when you unify the country around a message of this thing is going to end quickly because they need for it to end, they are in pain. We have eliminated a lot of their ability to enact military pain. And then we see them deliver ballistic missiles. We see them fire on our adversary, or I should say our allies in the region. It calls into question a lot of things. When in fact, the president is right. He was right to call on both sides to stop. He's right to call on efforts that we have to have the backbone and the fortitude to prevent them from getting a nuclear weapon. But Mr. President, you can't tell us that and at the same time keep leading us to believe that we're inches away from a deal when we want to be, but perhaps we're not. So that would be my advice to my president this evening.
Tyrus, your name was mentioned. I feel like Iran is stress testing just how much they can get away with.
I think Iran they're counting us to be like the America they've had dealt with for decades. They're looking at how Afghanistan, well, maybe when America leaves, they'll leave us tanks and helicopters too. We just have to wait this out. I think in America, it's easy for us to say, oh, what's going on over there but the people who live in Israel, this is their front yard and their backyard. Yeah. And they see, it's hard to hold it against them and their government against them. Like, they can finally end this. Iran's best friend in this whole situation is President Trump, because he's the only one consistently saying, hey, we're going to come to the table, and Iran shoots at a ship. Okay, cool. We'll just blow up the guys who did it, but we're still willing to be at the table. If President Trump said, you know what, Israel and a lot of the Kuwaits and a lot of the places that Iran fired at, he said, you know what, you guys handle it, there would be no more Iran. It would be completely, Iran's best friend in this situation is the United States, because they're the only one who can say to Israel right now, it's like, hey, stop firing. And that's a lot to ask a country after, forget just October 7th, look, forget the national worldwide campaign against them. This type of stuff we've seen here in America and our college campuses all around the world. So I sympathize with Israel's need to want to be safe and free. And for us, we sit on the other side of the ocean going, well, this needs to stop. So Iran, if you have any brains left in, what did you call him again?
The gay Ayatollah.
The gay Ayatollah. Maybe it's time to put on those dance shoes and go out and serenade and call the president and get it done. Because if the president walks away from this, it's not going to be like Afghanistan.
Right.
Israel's coming, and hell's coming with them.
Yeah, it would be a very different end.
Yes.
I would imagine. Emily.
Yeah, I think it's almost like, in those campfires, that there's a flame that stays sort of latent but existing throughout the winter, and then all of a sudden it explodes. My point is, Iran's goal is survival, whereas our goal is a peaceful resolution and a relationship that fosters growth back into the people. So all it takes is one radical thread to continue existing, and that's the threat. And that's why this president and administration is different than prior ones. And I think about when you mentioned, the tolerance or zero appetite for these wars. No one said anything when we bombed Belgrade, when NATO bombed Belgrade for 78 straight days, because Milosevic was an accepted, identified, and acknowledged villain who was murdering thousands of people. Now we have this same situation. For some reason, it seems to me our biggest hindrance and our biggest frustration and challenge to this resolution are Democrats and libs and the mainstream media, who are putting the pressure and the time clock on this president, who has manifested and invested in a process that will take some time. And the difference as well between now and back then is a faith, I think, in our military leaders and administration leaders, in the boots on ground, in the people who are there and the people who understand we're not making decisions from far away. And the pressure will come from our Gulf allies. And in this administration, I trust that the decisions will reflect our allies and relationships instead of deserting them, leaving them hanging, and then putting our American lives at risk because of that.
But just one thing, Democrats and Republicans are raising concerns about. And again, I believe the president's right, but you can't be dishonest about the fact that it's bipartisan. And two, when President Bush said it was the right thing to do, President George W. Bush, who was my friend and your former boss and great friend, he also had noble intentions, which was to bring freedom and democracy to a region that he believed once they had a taste of it, those people would want it forever. So understand, I hear what you're saying, and I don't disagree with you, but the president, the only advice I'd have, stop, Tyrus, we may differ slightly on this or from a different perspective, just stop telling us we're so close, because the American people are believing that this thing is going to happen tomorrow. And then we wake up and see that the Iranians have attacked the Israelis or the Iranians have attacked the Kuwaiti airport. And I think it's confusing for the American people as they try to digest all of this. It's the only point I try to make.
Do you think respectfully that he's saying that because he's being bombarded with questions from the mainstream media and from people who are sort of waiting for him to make a mistake instead of giving him patience and time? They're like, we need an answer. So he's answering.
So we're celebrating
answering.
250 years of our country. Every president has faced questions whenever he takes, and we'll say she one day when he takes us to war. And you know what? That's what the checks and balances, and that's why the founders wrote it like they did. So he may be fatigued by that, but that's the reality of being president.
That's the job.
Yeah. Actually, interestingly, one of the quietest countries in this entire conflict has been Iraq.
Be sure to like and subscribe for all the Fox News latest on YouTube and catch full shows streaming now on Fox One.